Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to show you guys. This is the CJRB Tundra, which is a really cool knife. I actually really like this knife. It's a budget knife. It has that little pin double lock thing, and it's cool for people who want a knife that's a little more capable than a standard, folding knife. At least the lock is a little more secure. They don't want to pay a crap load of money. This is nice to have this as an option. Now, cold steel, truthfully, dominates the inexpensive, hyper-durable market, and they have for a long time with their light series knives that utilize the triad lock. I have to imagine, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, just a little one. I think you guys will enjoy this. I have to imagine that's why we don't say, it was such a head scratcher to me. Why are the contenders of the budget knife world not trying to develop locking systems that are hyper durable? Why? This is such an easy money grab because everybody wants the most durable thing without having to pay the most money. In fact, without having to pay a lot of money at all. And the answer to that has always been, well, just buy a cold steel, like a light cold steel triad lock knife. They're the best by far, right? I have to assume that that's why. Got me thinking, when is the patent on the triad lock up? Turns out it's in 2026. Did you know that? By the time you guys see this video, you will probably, especially if you watch this channel, because I will have made a knife guy episode on it that comes out weeks before you're seeing this video. But everything is pre-recorded on this channel. So, but yeah, this is the first time, in my time that I just Googled this. Really interesting that that's going to happen. But anyways, I want to review this knife because this is cool, right? It's just on the theme, on the subject of, hey, budget, overbuilt, super durable knives, not overbuilt, but super durable locking systems. Like that's a cool thing, right? Well, the Tundra has that, not in the form of the triad lock, but in this form. Anyways, this is linked down in the description. It's not a super expensive knife. You guys can check it out if you want to. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure your notifications are on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Okay, let's go ahead and measure this knife. The overall length of the Tundra, big old chunky boy, coming in at 8.75 inches, actually about 8.8. Blade length is coming in at 3.75 and cutting edge about 3.6. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom skills you find down in this section can be found, any custom skills you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. Up against the 8010, in my own Excalibur, you can see here, this is a big knife. Makes the 8010 look small. Big old boy. God dang, that's a 3/4 ton to the half ton here. Holy moly. 8010 still more durable because of the triad lock, right? Quite a bit bigger than my own Excalibur as well. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. It's bigger. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. It's still bigger. How's the action? It's good. It has that distinct CJRB and Artisan Cutlery liner lock feel. I don't know what it is about that. When you get it goes away. But like these knives brand new, their liner locks are just crusty, right? It's like they take a dead crab and fit it between the lock face and the lock bar. They're like, there we go, ship it out. Like, why are they crusty? But anyways, it goes away. It goes away in like, I don't know, 50 flips, something like that. It's just a little weird. It's not typical lock stip. It's like lock crunch, like a bag of Chex Mix is in there. I'm not really sure what's going on, but it's fine. Access to the lock bar is good. There's no double clutch. Deploying this knife is easy thanks to large thumb barrels. Little bit of an abrupt ledge here. This needs to be domed off so that we're not jamming our thumbs into the ledge. Fortunately, you can just use the flipper tab, which is the easiest way to deploy it. You can also reverse flick it if you want to. For a larger knife, yes, very easy to manipulate. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3 is thick. Big old thick boy. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. This is a large object. Now, as far as like bigger, bulkier knives go, it's not the craziest thing. This is still, in the realm of pocketable. This is very obviously supposed to be in the same family as the other giant one that they do, the artisan cutlery. I think I've actually got it right here. Sorry, I had to go find it. This thing right here, I always forget what this is called, but it's got the same kind of looking pocket clip, and there's a budget version of it that looks even more similar, but it's also got that little pin deal. I don't know where it is for this one, but yeah, this is a cool knife. This is meant to be, I think, in the same family, just a little bit more practical to carry. In fact, a lot more practical. But it's very big. It's a very big object to dedicate to, and I cannot stress that enough. If you're like, I want a big knife, a lot of times people say that. I went down this road, and you're like, yeah, I want a big knife, and then you carry it, and you go, I don't want it. I don't want a big knife. Because it's just too big. It's too much to dedicate to, right? I think this is going to be right on the line for a lot of those people. I think some people will be like, yeah, I want a big knife, and then they get it, and they go, yeah, it's totally, completely doable. I have no problem carrying and, using this every day. And other people, it might just be a little bit too big. But anyways, what would probably be more helpful is to go over specs like weight and blade stock thickness, which we'll go ahead and do right now. So for materials, we have G10. There's a couple different variations of this, but G10 aluminum pivot collar. Got quite a few like standoffs and barrels and things back here. Big old stop pin. We have a steel pocket clip and probably AR RPM 9, right? Nope, it's D2. Artisan Cutlery and CJRB can use other steels in their budget knives. That's cool. Do more of that. It is just D2, and a lot of people look at the price tag and go, that's way too much for D2. And I kind of agree with you, but it's also like, yeah, it's a lot. Like, it's a big chunk of D2. Like, would I have preferred to see something like 14C28N? Yes. Do I think it's a deal breaker that they use D2? No. People always forget the king of edge retention at sub $75. Now, I'm not talking about weird situations where some weirdo goofball company uses M390, right? M390 on a sub $100 knife. And I mean, we all pretend, like those of us who buy those knives pretend that it's heat treated properly. It's not even close. But I'm not talking about weird situations like that. I'm talking about typical, consistent knives that are priced under, or consistent blade steels that are priced under $75. Which blade steel is the king of edge retention under $75 if heat treated properly? The answer is D2, and by quite a bit. So for everybody who puts edge retention above everything else, right, which is a lot of people. In fact, a lot of times it's a lot of the same people who will complain about D2 costing this much. If that is your number one value, well, the D2 is the answer for you because it blows the doors off of 14C28N. The benefit of 14C28N is the balance, right? It has a lot of toughness, which really helps out with edge stability, and also it makes it much easier to maintain. And it's also a stainless steel and has okay edge retention, right? There's a bunch of other steels, but I'm not too upset that this is D2. I'm just really happy that it's not AR RPM 9, which is what CJRB like almost exclusively uses. So anyways, steel liners, G10, and a big fat chunk of D2. By the way, how fat is that D2 chunk? Let's find out. At least a fifth of an inch. At least 190 thousandths. It's right on. That's 190 thousandths. XM24 thickness. Weight. I bet this guy weighs 7 ounces? 8 ounces. Big knife. Thick and chunky. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. That's a T9. We do not want that. We want a T8. So the pivot is going to be a T8. At least it had better be. There we go. Both sides. Then we have T8 body screws. Yes. And then we have these annoying things. Stop. Stop it. Stop using these. I don't know what, it looks like a Pokeball. Don't. Yes, you can just use a little flathead, but that's annoying. Just use big Torx, right? Easy to take apart either way. You're going to dick these up. I'm just going to tell you right now. You probably won't care, but you put a flathead in there, you're going to dick them up. They're just going to look like garbage afterwards, but just use Torx. CJRB, come on. Torx. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and move into the meat and potatoes here. Pretty straightforward. It has that other big artisan cutlery. It's on the tip of my tongue. The artisan cutlery, whatever. Same thing. You guys can tell me in the comments. Except everything just makes a lot more sense, right? The look of it, I think, is a little more appealing. The ergonomics are just fantastic. Feels really good. The jimping is basically decorative. This does not create enough traction to do anything, but that's okay, right? Big, almost like shovel-like drop point blade. It comes down to a thinner edge than you would expect, but it's still pretty thick, but definitely usable. Big, chunky blade, very durable, lots of thickness held out to the tip, right? Very cool. Looks good. I like it. Says CJRB, flat carries out to maybe 70% the length of the blade. Nice big swedge there. Also, in my opinion, a pretty nice plunge grind there. I mean, it thickens up a little bit, but a nice plunge grind. Should be lots of life in that blade. You can choke up single knuckle. I think that this knife could have used a bigger forward choil, but okay. They also have an all black version of this knife. This knife will be given away on one of my live streams. The pocket clip, it's not my favorite thing in the world. It's very rigid, right? Very wide. If you are, if you're in a hard work environment and you're moving around a lot, maybe you're climbing around, right? Construction work and things like that. I mean, obviously a lot of you guys carry utility blades, but a lot of you carry dedicated pocket knives as well. Jumping around, moving around a lot, very active work. Maybe you would want a knife like this, but I think also, it's really important to have a pocket clip that's going to keep it in your pocket. That will definitely do this. In fact, it'll make it kind of hard to get it out of your pocket, right? I think some people might get this knife and bend this back a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't blame you, but, do that at your own risk. This has a huge, we can't even call this a lanyard bar, right? Like, this is a huge standoff. Big. We have two little standoffs here. This is obviously right or left-handed, so that's cool. It's right-hand liner lock, but for the pocket clip, right or left hand. Absolutely enormous stop pin. It's just like comically huge stop pin. Now, it actually has two stop pins. This second one right here. Very cool. I like that. This does legitimately make this more durable than a standard pocket knife. Now, the liner lock is still engaged. Absolutely. So if you were to lock this second pin in, which you're going to have to keep on your keys or something, right? It comes on a lanyard on the knife. That's annoying. I cut it off. But if you want to leave it on the lanyard, fine. It's a big, long, stupid thing, right? I would say there's a little hole at the end of it. You just put it on your key ring or something. Once this is engaged, it does, my voice cracked. Once it's engaged, it absolutely does add another level of support. But that liner lock is still contacting, right? How can I tell? Because when we disengage the liner lock, you can hear it bouncing back and forth between these two stop pins. When we engage the liner lock, it is completely and totally solid. It doesn't make any noise, and that's because it's being supported by the liner lock. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if you're like, now I'm in abuse mode, and you start, taking apart a railroad track with your knife, you are still putting force on the liner. Some, right? So if you go absolutely banana hammer on this thing, and you're like trying to, I think the first thing to go will still be the liner lock. Now, the blade will probably still be locked out because of these two pins, but you're still going to do some pretty serious damage to the liner lock. So no, this does not make it a fixed blade magically. It does definitely make it to where the knife will not disengage during normal use. That lock will not, there's a chance with all liner locks and frame locks, no matter how good the geometry is, if you have enough either intentional or unintentional force applied to the spine, that lock can slip over. So what this pin does is it prevents that lock from slipping over. So basically, if you have something that you have no choice but to use your knife for, but you know that this task is not really a knife task, but you're like, this is all I've got, I gotta use it, then put that pin in there. Because then the whole point is you don't want the thing to disengage and cut your hand. It's no guarantee that you're not gonna do some damage to the knife, but at least you won't have to go to the hospital and pay however much money it costs to have a bunch of stitches put in, right? The last time I had to do that, it was $250. That's a lot more than the cost of this knife, and I'm sure it's gone up quite a bit since then. It's going to be different by area, but and severity of the injury. Anyways, so yeah, that's the pin. Don't buy this thinking like, it's invincible. No, definitely not. Definitely not. But it's cool. I'm glad that they have this as an option. I wish that we would see more of this. We've seen it before, but I wish we would see more. Let's go ahead and pull this back out and we'll talk about lockup solidity. If, by the way, you put this on a dedicated keyring, you can use the keyring itself to help you turn that a little more efficiently. Lockup is completely and totally solid, even without the pin, no pivot lash, very smooth and consistent in here. Really nice detent too, I like that. And the blade is perfectly centered with no detent lash at all. This is a $69 knife. Do I think that's fair? It's quite a bit of knife. I mean, there's enough here that you could easily make 2 knives out of this, right? 2 knives, we're looking at 70 bucks, right? And those 2 knives would, you know, theoretically, not really, you know, $35 knives, right? Made out of exactly the same materials. Very few people would argue with that. The reality of it is CJRB would charge more for those 2 knives made out of the exact same amount of materials here. They would charge you $45 for each of them, right? So that's how much material it is. It's not always about the material, but how much material is part of the equation. And in this case, it is a lot of materials. This is a big knife, right? I'm not really upset at $69, and it's also under $75, making it a budget knife. This is a knife that I would not recommend to a lot of people, but if you do want something, you know, big and burly and robust, and maybe you've looked through the catalog of cold steel triad lock stuff that's the light series, and it's kind of less expensive, right? You can find a lot of it on Amazon pretty cheap. Maybe you've looked through that category and nothing jumps out at you, but you like how this knife looks. I think that'll serve you pretty well. It's not the best thing in class. It's not the best in category or anything like that. It's not really the best of anything, but it's pretty good. It's not bad. And it's another option for people, you know, who kind of represent a smaller part of this already niche community. You don't have an enormous number of choices when you're looking for stuff like this and you're on a budget. So it's nice that CJRB offered this as an option. I think generally speaking, yeah, I'm going to put it in cheap knives. I like it. It's pretty cool. I like it. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.